Tensions between Japan and China have reached a boiling point as Beijing accuses Tokyo of exacerbating regional instability. This follows Japan's recent move to deploy surface-to-air missiles on islands near Taiwan. For China, this action is not merely a military maneuver. It is seen as a direct challenge to the post-war order in Asia, a region where historical grievances run deep. Beijing's government has labelled Japan's missile deployment as a provocative escalation, deliberately stoking military tensions and pushing the region closer to the brink of conflict. At the heart of this storm lies Japanese Prime Minister Sai Takai, whose remarks regarding Taiwan have further infuriated China. Takai's statement suggests that any Chinese military action against Taiwan could justify a response from Japan, an assertion that Beijing has vehemently rejected. In response to the escalating criticism, Takai quickly reaffirmed Japan's alliance with the United States, seeking diplomatic cover. This move has only intensified the situation, drawing Washington deeper into the fray as both powers vie for influence in the Taiwan Strait. China's anger is rooted in a broader concern that Japan is abandoning its pacifist stance, a cornerstone of its post-World War II identity. Japan's military spending has surged in recent years, a departure from its long-standing policies of defence-focused budgeting. Additionally, Japan has eased restrictions on arms exports and has even considered revising its stance on nuclear weapons. Beijing sees these changes as a dangerous shift toward militarism, one that threatens the delicate balance of peace in East Asia. Critics in Japan, particularly from left-wing political circles, have raised alarm over this shift in policy. Many argue that the country's move toward militarization violates its pacifist constitution, specifically Article 9, which prohibits the use of military force to resolve international disputes. These critics view Takai's comments as a dangerous rhetoric that could drag Japan into a war it does not want. As protests grow across Japan, public opinion is sharply divided. Demonstrators take to the streets, voicing their opposition to a policy that could bring the country into conflict over Taiwan, a matter that many in Japan believe is not their fight. "We have no intention of going to war for Taiwan," one protester stated. "We must not go to war for anyone. War means death. You might kill someone and then be killed yourself. That's something we must absolutely avoid." This internal dissent is being echoed by former Japanese leaders who argue that Takai's foreign policy approach is reckless and unconstitutional. The increasing militarization of Japan has stirred fears both domestically and abroad that the country is stepping down a dangerous path toward military aggression, undermining the post-war order that has for decades preserved peace in the region. Economically, Japan is already feeling the ripple effects of this geopolitical clash. Chinese tourists, once a major source of revenue for the Japanese economy, have stopped visiting in response to Tokyo's military posture. Imports, particularly in the seafood industry, have been halted by China as part of its economic retaliation. The fallout from these actions is evident, with both nations seeing a decline in trade and economic activity. Flights between Japan and China, once frequent, are being cancelled as tensions escalate. The economic impact is immeasurable, with many in Japan concerned about the long-term consequences of their government's increasingly confrontational stance. "I've been worried for a while now that if this person became prime minister, it would cause tensions with other Asian countries and lead to problems," one concerned observer noted. And now, as expected, once she became prime minister, this situation has arisen in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the political fallout within Japan is undeniable. Takai's remarks on Taiwan and Japan's military preparedness have not only strained relations with China, but also sparked a growing resistance within Japan. Critics argue that her actions and rhetoric threaten to undo the years of peace and stability the country has enjoyed since the end of World War II. For Takai, the Taiwan issue has become a focal point of her foreign policy. She has been vocal about the growing concern within Japan that China may eventually take military action to reunify Taiwan with the mainland. In this context, Takai has suggested that Japan may need to reconsider its pacifist stance if Taiwan is attacked, signalling a shift that has alarmed many both in Japan and across the region. Yet Takai's efforts to reaffirm Japan's alliance with the United States have not quelled Beijing's anger. In fact, they have further complicated matters. Japan's commitment to Washington is seen as a direct affront to China's strategic interests in the region. Beijing has long viewed Taiwan as a part of its territory, and any foreign involvement in the issue, particularly from Japan, is viewed as an unacceptable interference in China's domestic affairs. Despite the mounting tensions, there is a growing sense of unease within Japan itself. Many Japanese citizens are questioning the direction their country is taking, especially when it comes to its security policy. The possibility of military confrontation with China, while still distant, has become a real concern, and many are asking whether Japan is prepared to take such a risk. This internal conflict between the desire to defend Taiwan and the need to preserve peace at home continues to divide the nation. One of the more alarming aspects of this geopolitical crisis is the way in which it has drawn in global powers, particularly the United States. President Trump has weighed in on the matter, offering his support for Japan's security efforts. His recent visit to Japan and subsequent remarks have only served to heighten the tension between Japan and China. "We are extremely close friends and happy to receive a phone call anytime," Trump stated, underscoring the strength of the USS-Japan alliance. However, he also refrained from commenting on the specifics of the diplomatic discussions, further adding to the sense of uncertainty. While Takai seeks to reassure the Japanese public that their alliance with the US is crucial in these trying times, many are beginning to question the true cost of this alliance. With China's increasing military assertiveness in the South China Sea and around Taiwan, the stakes for Japan's security are higher than ever. The geopolitical fault lines in East Asia are being drawn ever more sharply, and Japan finds itself at the epicenter of a conflict it did not seek, but may soon be forced to confront. For now, the situation remains in flux. The geopolitical storm surrounding Taiwan and the broader Pacific region shows no sign of abating. As Japan's political and military strategies evolve, it remains to be seen how both domestic and international actors will respond. What is certain, however, is that Japan's next steps in this volatile region will shape the future of its foreign policy and its place in the world order. The coming months will likely be critical as Japan grapples with its role in this geopolitical maelstrom. Whether it continues to shift toward a more militarized stance or whether it recalibrates in response to public pressure will have profound implications for the future of East Asia and beyond. As tensions rise, the eyes of the world will remain firmly fixed on Tokyo and Beijing, as each move could bring the region closer to either confrontation or peace.